You're tuned into TobiTalks, episode 19. From Bedside to Nursing Informatics. Let's talk health IT. Now let me be honest with you guys. When I hear health IT, I literally think of people from like Google and Apple and Microsoft, real techie kind of guys, working in the hospital somewhere. I don't know, developing platforms and systems for us, right? Because that's what we all think about when we hear health IT. But boy, oh boy, was I wrong. I had no idea that nurses were actually in this field as well. I mean, think about it. We think that our healthcare stops and starts at the bedside, but think about all the technology and devices that we use, the charts that we use to document and electronically, our devices when we're taking blood sugars, our Dynamaps. Oh my gosh, nurses are everywhere. And I am so excited to have Danielle, creator of InnoNurse, sharing what it's like to go into nursing informatics. She is sharing the full picture of how social media plays a part and how the technology and devices truly help our patients' care. I'm really excited, and I know you hear that in my voice, so that means I'm talking too much. So let me go ahead and hop into this conversation. So let's go ahead and just hop into this conversation. Tell me, how did you even become a nurse? Like, where did that come from, and what are you currently doing now in the nursing field?
I always loved science, and I thought it was really fascinating and how the human body worked, and I just really wanted to know. And I actually volunteered at the Red Cross at a military base in San Diego. And I was taking my general science, and I got to see what the doctors are doing, the OBGYNs, the nurse practitioners, the staff nurses, the corpsmen. And I really liked the nurse's role, what they were doing. I found it really fascinating. Finished my general science in San Diego, got my undergrad at San Jose State in trauma, and really just loved that. I loved that it was every time I went to a new patient, it was different. When I started, I did transplants for a year, then trauma, and then I just traveled. And I traveled across the U.S. working as a trauma nurse in all sizes, and then I would go and spend time in Europe or Central America and take some time off and see how did other clinicians kind of do their role, what kind of technologies, they were using. And that's kind of how I started.
Wow. Amazing. So currently now you're more engaged in healthcare technology, right?
This is correct. So after traveling, and I'd go back and forth to Europe and see what they were doing in Central America, I discovered Association HIMSS. And through that, I kind of found my tribe or my community. And I said, this is kind of where I need to be, and start trying to work on figuring that out. And I went a couple of years and decided, okay, it's time to go to graduate school. And I found I'd been looking for a while what I wanted to, but I couldn't find anything that really held my interest. And I found nursing informatics. And it was a whole new breath of life, things that I hadn't, just no idea or clue they even existed. Learning about project management, learning about promotion, learning about social media, learning about a whole host of new technologies, mHealth and eHealth and telehealth. And through that, I decided halfway through, I'm in graduate school, I need to create something new. So that's when I created my site, innonurse.info, before I graduated. So time I actually did graduate, I did have my own company, my own brand, my own concept, because when I would travel across the world, not everyone understood what nursing informatics was. So by me coding the site, by me cataloging the site, the information, and having a 2-year advanced graduate degree, I could say, the information I'm finding is valid. And that's kind of how it's really, the next phase of nursing has really taken off for me.
Wow. First of all, let me be completely honest with you. I never was even told about, nursing school. You think you got the full grasp of, all the other fields in nursing when you really don't. You were kind of just only taught about bedside nursing, really. So to hear that you were
only taught about bedside, you hear a little about maybe occupational health. That was something that was talked about. I trained in hospice and community health was part of my undergrad, so I knew about that. I heard some rumors about some people working in pharmacology, but that was kind of the extent of the breadth of it. in going forward, one of my things I'm hoping at the end of this year is to work with a few nurses doing a conference training before the graduates actually graduate, to teach them about project management, to teach them about what does it mean to do like pharmacovigilance, what does it mean to why do you get your certificates? How is it to work, as a corporate level executive nurse? Those things, those words, those acronyms, I didn't know even existed when I was in undergrad, and really kind of developed and learned as I went in graduate school.
Wow. And I hear that. I hear that a lot. And even now, like a lot of my friends and colleagues, there's this push that in order to be exposed to this other side of nursing, that you have to go to grad school to know that other side of the world, which has always been a challenge for me because I've gone into, I guess, a corporate side, which is, more of the administration aspect of doing quality and process improvement and risk management. But I didn't go to graduate school. It's kind of, I found out just being very engaged and involved in my hospital. And now, because of that, I'm now knowing and hearing so much about, health technology. And that kind of raises the question to me is, should nurses be more exposed to this in their undergrad so they're able to, because when I think of grad school, I think of, oh, this is my specialty and now I want to dive in deeper. But if I've never been exposed to any of this, then grad school is almost like that extra stepping stone to learn more about it instead of actually diving in and it being experienced. So from your point of view, do you feel like health technology should be more at the undergrad level and discussed more so, nurses that are coming into the field kind of have more exposure?
In the U.S. is starting. There are a couple of, off the top of my head, I know Emory, they have a bachelor's in health technology. There is also Howard. I think he's doing like maybe a 2-unit course. Don't quote me out in health technology or nursing informatics. So schools are starting to integrate it in the undergraduate programs. And I see a lot of nurses really doing health technology, but not having the words that they're doing it. The fact that we're nurses and we're talking about health technology and, we're having this podcast, we're using it. If you were taught how to do podcasts as part of your undergrad, how do you do it? How do you set it up? How do you create your overlays? How do you create your graphics? That would have been very helpful.
Wow. Didn't even think about that because I learned all this by myself. So that makes a lot. Wow.
But if you had that certificate, that piece of paper behind what you're doing to give it the validity on top of it, that's like the next level. So what you're doing, a lot of people don't know how to do. So there's always people doing all these different things that are wonderful. And so my whole goal is when I share information is to have it where everyone can get, you don't have to do all the slices of pie, but at least be exposed to what's out there.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I can take the best of this. I can take the best of that. Let me learn from this. How do you do that? So I really try to be the communicator and like get all the information together and share it kind of, because I'm a librarian.
Mm-hmm.
So we're exposed. So all of it is exposure. When I'm in Europe and I'm in like Norway or Denmark and I'm learning about drones in healthcare, I'm learning about AI, or you're working with like an AI company and you're bringing your clinical expertise, you have to know some of the technical to be able to explain it back, to any parties. And that's what nursing informatics is. That's nursing in general. It's like you're the communicator, you're the translator. So if you don't know the language of the technology, how are you going to explain it to someone else?
Very true. Wow. That's so amazing the way you just put
on
it
their
all
level
together. Yeah.
It's just not on the same level, across the person, but on any level. Because like when we talk to patients, we're supposed to speak to them on 3rd to 5th grade level. If you're talking to legacy slash and you're explaining technology, it's not that, they may not be bright or they're not educated. It's a new language and you need to explain to them on a level that they can understand.
This is so true. Even now, in my hospital, we have a nurse that is certified in Epic, and she is the communicator, the lingual between the doctors and the nurses of what we need to see on Epic. And then she's also on the tech side where she can talk techie code stuff on that side, but she's able to be in the middle to communicate to both aspects. And I think people don't realize
and that's
that.
Nursing informatics.
Yes.
You should be able to look to the business people and explain it to them. You have to be able to explain to IT, to the doctors and nurses, to the certified nursing assistants, to the dietitians, because they're bringing something in, this person has a specific trait, that's, disease, and they have to enter into the computer, and it has to be correct when it gets there, or, the trays are going to come behind. So you have to be the communicator, and you have to, really be able to break it down where someone can digest that information and take it away with them and own that information.
That's 100% true. So I want to know from your aspect, because you seem to have got the exposure from traveling as a nurse and then hopped into the health technology side of it. So what made you, leave Bedside? Did you have any apprehensions when you were leaving Bedside and to get more focused into healthcare technology?
Well, part of me was, no matter where I went, the ER was always the ER to a certain point of view. I learned about different snake bites, learned about Lyme disease, learned about scorpion bites and different things. But one thing was consistent. Everywhere I went, the technology was different. So I was always good at technology. I always say you could always drop me off with like a scalpel and a crayon. Like, I'm good. It didn't matter. So when people were kind of crying in the corner, they didn't know how to turn on a computer. And I said, there has to be something to this. There's got to be something that I could do. So that was kind of like my initial trigger, saying there has to be something to this technology. There has to be something I could do to make this better. So that was my initial, how do I go about changing this? And being in Europe, and someone told me about HIMSS, and then once I saw it, I said, okay, this is how I change it. It starts by changing yourself. And then after a year, I said, I have the clinical skills, but I don't have the use of language. And I don't think anyone's going to teach me on their own or give me that knowledge. I need to go get it for myself. There's a whole host of things. Like, say, for example, I did trauma, but initially I thought I'd want to do mother baby.
Mm-hmm.
When I got there, I said, okay, this is for me. What am I going to do? I spent all this money, all this time, and then I discovered the ER. I said, okay, this is for me. So as your nursing career evolves, people will change. People might do oncology for a while, then they'll switch and do something else. So it was more so I really liked the technology, and I was ready for a change. And everything was kind of just, repeating. I thought initially when I get into it, we learned a lot about research in undergrad. And there was never a point for me to actually study and do research. Where are my papers that I could sit and research this patient and make sure that, we're doing best practices? That wasn't occurring. So I said, okay, I really like this technology. What else out there in this room that I do not know? And that's when I discovered, as my teacher said, okay, you're going to build an app today. I'm going to build an app, like a real app.
Wow.
Okay. All right. I guess I'm building an app. Okay. You need to make a YouTube channel, and you're going to do all the, the top, say, time, risk management, all the levels of project management, and they're going to respond to each other on Twitter. Oh, I have to have a Twitter account too?
Wow.
Okay. And then that's when I discovered, Twitter and using video, creating video. How do I upload it? How do I create it? How do I label it? And then respond to other people's videos on Twitter. And then I had graduated, and I was looking for my next role, and I found I wasn't getting a lot of feedback. And usually as a nurse, when you're an undergrad, it's not that hard to find a job at the bedside. But I found it a lot more challenging. I'd made my own company. I was doing my own thing, but I wanted to see what else was out there. And I found that people weren't really willing to open the door. So I quit my full-time job, and I said, okay, my suggestion was, let's do tweet chats full-time. So I spent a year teaching myself how to go to tweet chats. How do you write a tweet? How do you get followers? How do you engage with other health tech people? And really just doing it full time, and not just doing just health tech, learning, how do they do it in other disciplines? Because you can always learn from other disciplines and pull in from what they're doing into what you're doing. So I did that for a year, discovered my tribe, my community. People say, hey, let's meet up at this conference. Oh, okay. And then taking that online to offline, and meeting these people that I met online around the world face to face. And now we just meet up at events all over the world, exchanging information, working together, and then teaching each other, teaching other people. about the tribe, about social media, how to communicate, how to engage, how to use tools like Slack.
Wow.
Why is it important to write a blog? How do you write a blog? How do you catalog it? Where do you place it so it can be seen? And how do you respond back using emotional intelligence? How do you write blogs for corporations? How do you take that graduate level research and make it digestible for a larger community? Just really, they always say if you really like something, stop what you're doing and really just do it full time. It's always like, how do you do that? How did these people do that?
Right.
And
Like, do you got money saved up somewhere? Because bills still
exactly,
come in.
economics planning. So I had
Mm-hmm.
planned those 3 years while I was in graduate school and did the economics, did the budget, paid my debt down, got everything organized and structured. I said, okay, I'm going to give myself a year. So I saved enough so I have a full year to make the best decisions I can make and not just do something because of economic need.
Mm.
And then a colleague of mine that I met on social media, on LinkedIn, him and I started working together and we had a year of yes. You want to speak at a conference? Yes. You want us to write an abstract? Yes. You want us to do this? Yes, 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 yes.
Wow.
What? When we show up in Australia, no problem. You want Denmark? No problem. Malta, see you there. Spain, no problem. I'll be there. Figuring out how to get there. Figuring out how to structure your housing, figuring out your budget. Because you remember you only save for a year.
Yeah.
It's part of the year, and building your own, I guess the best way to put it is, like say you work a year or two at the job and people are okay, now you're vetted. Basically doing that for yourself, getting your own skills, volunteering, working to advisory boards, working on your own skill set and picking skills that other nurses do not want to do is my favorite thing.
Yeah.
You want to do risk management? Great. You don't want to do the economics? Great. You don't want to do social media? Great. Thank you. I'll do it all day long. Saying no because everyone always said yes to you in undergrad for whatever you wanted. Now people are graduating and people are telling them no, not going to give you a job. No, not interested. People were looking for certain things because you're at a new level, and you have to build up basically, quote unquote, your street cred for people to come to you. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's not like when I went to undergrad and I took my test, decided I graduated that Wednesday, called and applied for a job Thursday and was hired Thursday night. I applied for one job.
Yeah. Wow.
So a lot of people are coming with that mindset of this is all I had to do to get a job. Now it's 2 months and I don't have a job. There's people that are getting degrees that necessarily might not give them the skills they need for the job they want to do. I hear a lot of positive stories and a lot of horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
And you really have to do your homework before you pick your graduate degree and spending this money. And will you have a job after? What I find people have jobs after, they had to get the degree for the job they already had. Does that make sense?
Is so true.
You have to go get this degree or you will be fired in 3 years.
Yeah.
Or you have to move. Or sometimes nurses get caught up on titles. Look at the actual meat of the job.
Exactly. And that's what I'm seeing now. Like I see a lot of millennials that are literally going back to school to get jobs that they didn't even know they can just get as a registered nurse with a bachelor's degree. And then they're not even utilizing the master that they actually got. And I actually want to table back to something that you said earlier, where you were saying that your career, your life, everything evolves. And you don't have to stick in one place. And as you were just talking, I'm literally like reflecting on I started in peds and I went to mother baby, then I did traveling and now I'm in quality. And now everything that you just described in health technology is what I am doing. Like I had to I never used Twitter. I thought Twitter was the most annoying thing I've ever heard. And I literally created a whole Twitter channel. I created a podcast. I never knew how to do this. I literally sat on YouTube and watched a heavy.
If you can read,
hello?
You can do anything.
You really can. You really can.
But a lot of it with nurses is fear. And it doesn't matter the age. I meet legacy staff. And after I have a conversation with them, they admit, I was totally afraid. I said, you can't sit there and say, you want a world-class job. You want to swim in the ocean and you're sitting in a creek in your backyard.
Very
You have
true.
to get out your creek. You have to go hustle. You have to go volunteer. You have to go, put your little cute outfit on and go to events and smile. You need to be on Twitter. You need to be everywhere networking, because a lot of them didn't build network. They just applied to a job. They didn't know anyone there. They don't realize that you need to have a vast network and produce. You're saying you're a graduate level. What are you producing? Where's your website? Where's your YouTube? Where's your Twitter account? Where's your blog? What events are you going to? Where's your calendar? Are you sharing your calendar? Are you doing graphics? What are you doing that says the title, this piece of paper is backing up? What are you showing? Or are you just sitting there in the creek wanting to go play in the ocean?
You better, girl, you got me on the pedal. I'm on the edge of my seat right now, just taking in these gems. This is so good.
In the backyard, not even the creek down the road. You're in the creek backyard and you should be in the ocean. But that's what you want to do. If you want to be in the creek, that's fine. Just don't complain about being in the creek.
Hello? Don't complain.
Are you doing the job that feeds you? Is that what you are? Are you your current role, or are you the role that you paid money for to go to school? What role are you trying to do? Because you can't do both at a certain point. Change everything and give, you have to switch gears. And that's usually the big situation. People are hesitant to switch gears.
I like that you're bringing that to light, because I wanted to ask you, like, what is your views of nursing when you're at the bedside versus now in health technology? Like, has that changed, or what are the differences you see in between the two?
Well, technology at some point's always been like, if you're an OR nurse, use technology. If you're using a pump, you use technology. So it's just more of a mindset. To me, my big change is I'm the nurse for the nurses now. I help them to understand the technology that they're using. So when I go in the hospitals across the world and I see, the technology being used, like when I was leaving, I went to a conference and the nurses, there were a lot of CEOs, a lot of VPs and very high up, didn't want the nurses to have smartphones, personal smartphones. He thought it was bad. And the person made the point, this person paid a lot of money to go to school, to get these degrees, these certificates. Why are you assuming they're doing something wrong? Why is that their first inclination? And now, years later, they're giving everybody smartphones. So people are using technology, but it's that change of mindset. Or I'll talk to a nurse in Malta, nursing informatics, and he said, because in, say, Malta, Italy, they use Facebook more. So each country has different social media that you use. Like, why I want them to engage. How do I get them to engage properly? You set up the policy and procedure. Maybe you do a contest. Maybe you do something that gets them involved to respond to you on Facebook for the hospital, And then what I always state, if people say you're using technology and upsets the patient, I never had that issue, because anytime I used any technology, I would sit with the patient and I would show them what I was doing. I'd bring the computer over and I would chart next to them. I could see, this is where I'm putting your vital signs. This is where I'm putting in the note after writing this language so the next person can understand that this is what I'm saying. So I never had anyone call on the call like, because I spent the time with the patient to show them what I was doing. Even if I was on my phone, I was looking up a pill. Like, okay, this is this app. I'm using it to check this pill because you don't know the name of it. And you have these backup pills and you have to figure out what they are.
Wow.
And it started turning where patients were like, okay, I don't use a piece of paper to write my medications down. Here's my phone with my list. You can take it from here. Okay, great. Thank you. I'll sit down and put all this in. So people are only afraid of things they do not know. And I think a lot of times people, they can't explain it. So then they're afraid to show people because it'll feel like they're incompetent, and they're not. They just, don't know the full breadth of what they're doing in a way that they can explain it to someone else.
I just love these examples that you were given, because I think, like you said, when you don't know how to explain it to others. But my thing is, I like how you were able to use that time that you were charting to be engaged with your patients. Did you find that difficult if you've ever been like overstaffed and you have like maybe 9 or 8 patients? Did you still have that time to be able to chart, or would you choose to chart in the room?
I was never
with
in
them?
that position.
Okay.
Because the state of California, you only have 4.
Okay.
So if someone's intubated, you can't show them, but you can show the family. The doctor might explain the medical part, and then I explain the technical part. So then they were confident at what was, going on, or it's called like nursing engineering. Make sure everything looks good before you go in, all set up and ready. So I didn't have that issue. Even when I did transplants and I would have 6, most of the time they were sleeping. And then when if they were awake, then I would show them. So it wasn't extra time because you're going to chart anyway. All you're doing is turning the computer.
This is true. I mean, this is 100% true.
And then once you explain it the first time and then you do it again, you don't have to explain it. They know what you're doing.
Yeah. And they feel more comfortable and confident knowing that you're taking this time to diligently, write down everything and document everything, and they understand. And it's not just like, oh, I got to go. You get to stay in there and even do those.
I would stay at the bedside and chart. So when I left the room, the patient was taken care of. And so to me, taken care of is, they look good from head to toe, their medications are done, the room's clean, the trash is taken out, the sink, anything that would make me feel uncomfortable. If I was like in a hotel room, I would eliminate irritant. So if you remove any irritant, where's their complaint?
You did holistic
even
care.
If it's not your job to take out the trash.
Yeah.
If they see you take it out, go, I'm going to take this out and call somebody to move it and put your trash can back in a minute. Is there anything else you need to put in before I take it out? It's just a little customer service thing. The very first day I went into the hospital, I was taking the bus to school. There was another nurse on there that just graduated law school. And I remember she was pregnant with twins. And she told me, she's like, remember this, no one sues their friends. Go make friends. So I go make friends, and I just continue to do it. I go make friends all over the world. Go make friends.
No one
it's very simple.
Go make friends. Wow.
Choose your friends.
I think that's the wisest thing I've heard today.
Choose your friends. Go make friends. People will write letters and complain and say all kind of things, but they always put on the letter. But Danielle was excellent.
I know you dropped hymns a couple of times, and just for the viewers, the listeners that don't know what hymns is, do you mind just going into like a nice little overview, kind of describing what hymns is?
Basically, way I can start, it's an international health tech society system. So there is an American version, a headquarters in Chicago. There's a European version. There is a Middle East version and a Pacific Asia version, and they have conferences in all over the world. So next year it'll be in Orlando for Europe. I just came back from Sitges for HIMSS Europe, being social media ambassador. So I was lucky to be social media ambassador for both. And it covers everything from education. You can volunteer as a student. That's one thing that I push, that a lot of people don't find out till after they graduate. They could have, volunteered. There are communities within the community. So there's listed communities like the HIMSS African American group, which I'm on the steering committee. There you can prepare posters for the nursing section. You can send in to be a speaker. They also have a floor or vendor section where you can meet. They have an education section for the American version. And then in Europe, to me, I really like it's a little more intimate. We eat together. We kind of do everything together, do hospital visits, educational sessions. So it's a different atmosphere of both, but I really enjoy them. I also, last year was lucky to go to Odense, Denmark, to speak, to do social media, and I'm hoping to go back there as well. It's called WIN, and it'll be happening this October. So just lots of things. HIMSS has local chapters. So this year, early in the year, I was on a committee, and we put on, it's called ICS event. We did a one-day conference with education, speakers, vendors, and I spoke there and did social media as well. So there's all different kind of ways to get involved, from the local to the national, international level. There's just so many. I was in Europe recently. I was in, once I left Sitges, I went to France, and there was, I went to Paris Health Week. It was like 30,000 people. Got to see nurses. They had a whole nursing floor, education in French.
Wow.
French communities in the Caribbean, French communities in Africa were there. Got to meet some of them in Canada. Montreal was there. went to UNESCO and did social media there as well. So I was really excited to be at a UNESCO, building in Paris and have the headphones and listen, and someone's translating into English, and
Wow.
they're talking about different healthcare in French-speaking parts of Africa, in India, and France, and the whole conference based on reverse innovation. Talking with doctors from L'Oreal and the challenges of, say, women coming from Africa into France using bleaching creams and the cancers that they're getting. Using impulse to reverse that. So it's just so much going on around the world. And I would say that's one thing I do not see a lot of. Nurses at the bedside going to conferences. I remember some talk about it when I first started. So it might, charges might go to like, emergency room conference and go, wow, I spent a few $100s. And looking back, it's like, people spend way more to build their network, to build their knowledge base, to understand, healthcare technology from a global viewpoint. So that's one thing I wish, if I could go back, is convince myself and convince a few people to do some conferences and kind of see what was going on, beyond the creek.
I think that's 100% true. I feel like, or not what I feel like, I've seen it where a lot of people don't know, a lot of nurses on the units don't know that they have opportunities to go to these different conferences. And that was actually the next question I was going to ask you. For a nurse who's probably at the bedside, who's really probably very curious or want to know more about the health technology side, would you advise them to, go to these go to these conferences for HIMSS or go to these different engagements, even though they don't have, I guess, heavy experience and knowledge, but this would be able to be more of a bigger exposure for them? Would you promote that?
Even meetups, even going on local meetups. There's even like, say, Health 2.0, which was purchased by HIMSS. They have a large presence in the Bay Area. Startup Health. There's an event called JP Morgan Chase that happens once a year in January. So last year it was like 4 conferences or 3 or 4 conferences at the same time in San Francisco. So even just going, so you don't even have to pay a lot of money, just going to a meetup and just seeing, building your network, building your level of understanding. Because most states, not all, I know Arizona doesn't and Vermont doesn't, but you have to have CEUs. So instead of repeating the same free CEUs, going to actual conference and getting some new education, some new light, really can change your perspective. And it doesn't mean you have to, necessarily leave the bedside, but there could be technologies that you can have a better understanding of to help your patients. Because now patients are coming with the technologies and want to know how to use them. They want their wearable information into their portal. They want their information into their chart. Just simple things, even asking them want their user own glucometer, that to be entered. So now you have this technology where you can't dock it and put it in, because that's usually the toughest thing, is the POC information. How do you engage with them with their own technology? Because if you can engage with them, that builds trust. So sometimes you have to go out on your own and improve your own knowledge, just as you did to get your degree. And to me, you just can't do one thing anymore. That's the big mindset change. You just
you can't
be a bedside nurse, and this is your job. This is your only avenue for knowledge. You can't do that anymore. You have to, like you said, check YouTube. You have to dig and research more beyond. You have to curate. You have to
network.
Go to tweet chat. You have to do more to better understand, because the patients are gaining so much more information. E-patients. You need to be able to have a conversation with the patient, but the patient knows more than you.
They're telling you about devices that you don't know about. And you're like, yeah, you know about this. And you're like, wait, what device? No, I just know about this scanning device. And that's 100.
Right, and this is all that I know. It's not that they want to have a conversation, and that kind of kills the conversation.
It does. It really does. And that's the same thing like when I was working in pediatrics. I'm naturally a big kid, so I like to play around a lot. But when you're working in peds, it's not just you come in, clock in, and take care of your patient. You need to watch all the newest Disney movies. You need to know what's going on in the kids' world that you can relate to them. Because if you don't know the latest movie that came out, but you're trying to help a kid from crying or being scared of you, that's the one thing you need to know to do. Like, hey, you remember Princess this? And then they love you because like, oh, yeah, she knows what I
You're
like.
not up on Frozen. They are not trying to have you in their
They ain't
life.
trying to, no, if you ain't up on Frozen, if you ain't up on Trolls, if you they don't want to, you're not on their level. If you don't know not one of the minions, they don't want to talk to you. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing.
Why? Like you don't want to engage with me. What's important to me, and these things are important to me.
Exactly.
I've seen Frozen in like 4 languages now, and I was a yard
you're fancy.
You know, because these kids are using tablets. And your patients. It's not just the person in front of you; it's everybody.
Everybody.
So you have to understand where they're coming from to be able to get them where they need to go.
Wow. I mean, I'm just so engaged with this conversation today because it blew my mind. And I think, like you said, we do kind of disconnect when we think of health technology. We literally think of, as a nurse, you'll think of, oh, those are the epic people, the tech people and all that. But no, we are a part of health technology because we are using the devices. We are charting on these health technology systems that are being created. The coolest thing about what you said, the evolving part is so important. Like, understanding that
you have to evolve.
Like, you're not just one-stop shop, bedside only. And granted, I personally feel like I wasn't given the full holistic opportunity of nursing in nursing school, because I think they can only teach you so much. But like you said, the focus is now changing, and it's now being more open to other areas in nursing.
It's almost like a funnel. And so that's my goal. I have a meeting tomorrow and I've written down the things that I know that if I was 6 months away from graduating, that I would definitely want to have in my pocket to prepare, roadmap. Because what I've learned, what I'm learning is still current. What students and I hear feedback from, what they have a difficult time is someone that used to do what they did 10, 15, 20 years ago, and they no longer doing it, and they're teaching to somebody in this era. Nursing is always evolving, always change. It's just the increments of the change are quicker and quicker.
Yes.
Or maybe in 5 or 10 years, and you maybe could have like sat back and just, really dived into one area and really worked that one area. You can't, because not only is your cheese moving, the cheese is gone out of the building. The building's burnt down. The truck is already left.
Gone. Flat.
It's gone. It's gone. Not only is it gone, it's gone on the ship, and the ship is already set sail. You're looking around looking for this cheese in the burnt out building with the truck is left with everyone else, and the ship's already sailed.
Yeah.
And this is the students are coming across some of the information that they're getting.
Yeah.
It's not this is not knowledgeable. They just haven't been in the field since the 90s.
And that's 100% true. And that's a heavy amount of our educators out there. There's literally, if you look at the educators, that's majority of what we're seeing in a lot of these schools are the older ones that, it's that disconnect.
And so the new students are like, I know how to use technology possibly better than the teacher. And nobody's saying it out loud that this has happened.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say it. Like I will be a faculty at the University of New England this fall.
Oh, and wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Which is a big deal because I applied before. I'm like, how do people get these jobs? How does this work?
Yes.
And it was doing the things I knew I needed to do to improve myself on a global level. So my whole mindset was 5 years ahead. No matter what people say, no matter what people do, if they say you're too expensive or they say this about you, you say 5 years ahead no matter what you have to do, because it's going to pay off. Someone's going to see what you're doing and, what you have built, and they're going to recognize where you are. And the school, they recognize, they were just like that, they were fans. I said, fans, let's collaborate. That's the term, collaborate, partnership, do this. And I always look at stuff. So you have to do a class. I don't know if you know this, you have to do a Blackboard class to teach. And so I thought it'd be a couple of videos, but no, it's an actual class that I have to attend. I was like, oh, okay. And they said, introduce yourself, do a bio. And so I thought about it, and my mind's always thinking, What can you do that's 5 steps ahead?
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote out a bio and I said, hey, why don't I do a video? Why don't I put some links to some articles that I've written in the last 2 months? Thinking current, not thinking, a lot of people want to rest on, something they created 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do that. So I said, okay, it's going to take me some time. I'll let the teacher know. So I sat and I wrote out the bio. I created the video. I set everything up, put it on YouTube, shared the links. Sorry for the delay, but I didn't realize I was going to be in the class. Once I realized, here you go. So you have to always, okay, they want this, but why give them something static? Give them some links to something, that's current. Do a video, do something that's, relevant.
Mm-hmm.
I would have done an IGT video, but I can't figure out how not to get my face so big on there. I'm still working on that. And you can't be afraid to, I think a lot of people are afraid to fail. And you have to try, you have to be okay with failing.
Mm-hmm. It's 100% true. Coming from a professional failure here, I failed in nursing school. I failed my NCLEX. So I'm like,
you can't
I'm
be
okay.
Afraid to fail.
You can't, because it happens, and you learn from that failure. A lot
of people are afraid to fail or to be embarrassed.
Yeah, I'm not.
You can't shame someone that has no shame.
Yes, thank you. No shame. No shame.
You will retard yourself and you won't progress. You need to stumble on something new and keep at it and keep trying. And because you're investing in yourself. The tools I buy, the things I do, the time I'm spending with you, it's an investment in you and it's an investment in myself. And that has value. Time has value.
I was literally going to ask you if you can give some advice to anyone who's interested in nursing informatics, but this whole conversation has been nothing but advice. So if you're listening to this and you haven't written down anything she said, feel free to rewind this whole conversation, because I have literally
research. I'll give you the advice I was given. They said, when you select your school with someone in another country, you recognize that school. If you're sitting in Singapore and you say the school you went to, will they recognize it? If you're sitting in, Austria, will someone recognize your school? If you're sitting in Italy at a conference in a small town and they go, oh, where'd you go to school? And you say your school, will they know where that school is? The school's reputation needs to precede itself in a positive manner, because that's going to be your first lead out into the new world, into the new field that you're going into. And you have to think globally. This isn't, I hate to say it, but this isn't a backyard game. This is global. And you have, even if you say, okay, I'm going to do informatics, but I'm going to stay at the bedside, you still have to think globally, because people travel. What if Ebola shows up at your hospital? What are the procedures that you do for that? What if someone's Zika shows up? What are the procedures that you do that? What's the workflow that you use? Do you know the workflow was designed in a hospital in Spain? Do you know there's a tool, an app that you can use to do the logarithm? The water will show up to your door. If you keep playing in the creek and the ocean shows up, you're going to be drowned. So you have to have more knowledge to do your current role, no matter what your role is as a nurse. You don't have to be in nursing informatics, but you still have to know the technology and tools, because they're evolved so fast. If you put your head in the sand, you'll miss all the knowledge and information. You better take care of their patient. So if I take care of the nurses and they have the knowledge, they better take care of the patients. That's how the information kind of trickles down. I build a confidence in the nurse. You could do this. This is how you do it. It's not as hard as you think.
This is 100%. Wow.
When you're 5'1".
Right? This is 100% knowledge right here. I really
use your area and really work your area and expand your knowledge, and you will be more confident. The patient will be safer, and your license will be safer.
I'm just overwhelmed by so much information and knowledge from you, especially in the IT, health IT. There's sides of it that I've never even thought of or were exposed to until I've had this conversation with you. So I want to thank you so much for your time, but I really want you to let my listeners know where they can find you, your website, how they can follow you, and really get in touch and see how you're bringing health technology to the front while some people are still in the back. You know what I mean? So tell me, how can we...
Still in the creek, and that's okay. We can bring you to the ocean. You can always find me, as I tell everyone face to face. I'm not hiding. You can Google me, Danielle Ciari. My website is innonurse.info. So innovation nursing. So INNO nurse.info. And branding purposes across all my channels, it's InnoNurse. So Twitter, InnoNurse, Instagram, InnoNurse, IGTV, YouTube, everything's InnoNurse.
Awesome. Well, you guys have it. That's how you can reach her. She ain't hiding. She even said, Google me, honey. I'm out there. So, Ms. Danielle, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know I have learned so much, and I'm just so happy that, I know I've been chasing you down for a while now, so I'm so happy you were able to take some time out.
I'm like, where's Balda of nursing? Like, where is she next? It's like Iceland. Like, she's Iceland? Like, yeah.
Yes. And I follow you on LinkedIn. I'm just like, all the cool things that you're just bringing to the forefront about technology. So I think it's amazing. And if you guys aren't following her, please do, because she is like an open book. She's ready to share everything. So I want to thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed so much of this conversation. So again, from my heart, thank you.
Thanks for your time. Have a great day. Thanks everybody for listening.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. There were so many gems dropped. And if you want to reach me or hit me up, feel free to contact me through my email at TobiTalks@tobitalks.com. Again, that's TobiTalks@tobitalks.com. Feel free to follow me on Instagram or slide me a DM. That's at Tobi.talks. Again, IG, Tobi.talks. I also got Twitter, like everybody else. So feel free to hit me up. And my Twitter is ThisIsTobiTalks. I look forward to talking to you guys very soon. And remember, I'm rooting for you. So go out there and be great. Till next time, talk to you later.